Hello everyone, my name is Rushikesh Mahdi. Today we are here to perform the role play on Deadlock and its handling methods. Firstly, we have three processes P1, P2 and P3 and 7 resource R1 to resource R7. The resource R1, R3 and R5 already allocated to process P1. First, let's see the scenario.
Hello, yes, I am process P2. I need resources R2, R3 and R4.
These are resources R2 and R4. You need to wait for R3.
Hi, OS, this is process P3. I need resources R4, R7 and R6. Please give me.
These are resources R6 and R7. You need to wait for some time for resource R3.
Okay, so
Hello guys, I am process P1. I have got to complete my execution, so I need resource R7.
R7 has been already allocated to resource process P3. So you need to wait.
Okay.
OS, I need resource R3 right now.
It is already it's process P2. So you need to wait.
Hello, OS, I need resource R4 immediately. Please give me right now.
I can't give you because it is already P1.
I need resource we can see that there is enough resources, but process are fighting for execution. The resource which is required for particular process is already allocated to another process. This is called as a deadlock condition. In it, we can only perform only one process at a time with the single resources. Because of this, the system will be crashed. So it is necessary to handle the deadlock.
Let's see how the deadlock can be handled. There are 4 different methods to handle the deadlock. First is deadlock ignorance, second is deadlock prevention, third is deadlock avoidance, and fourth is deadlock recovery and detection. Let's see how the deadlock ignorance works.
OS, I need resource R3. OS, I need resource R4 immediately. OS, I need resource R7. OS, I need resource R3. OS, I need resource R4.
As the scene suggests, all the processes are blocked. The OS ignores the deadlock and deadlock handling method to lower the performance so that the designer of the OS do not add provision in it. On this increases the speed of the OS. So all the chances of happening the deadlock in this case is very rare. So deadlock ignorance method is used till today. Sometimes our computers don't work. At that time we do nothing but just shut down our computers.
Now let's see the next deadlock handling method, that is deadlock prevention. Deadlock occurs because of the 4 reasons, that is mutual exclusion, no permission, fold-down weight of resources and circular weight of resources. Our deadlock prevention method suggests us to violate any one of this method to handle the deadlock. So let's go against the mutual exclusion and make resource R7 shareable. Now resource R7 is already allocated to process P1 and now it OS also has a resource R7 available with it. So let's see what the scenario becomes.
OS, I need resource R7.
Here is your resource R7.
Now I have all required resources. My execution is complete. These are resources R1, R3, R5 and R6.
OS, I need resource R3.
Here is your resource R3.
I have completed my resources. I have completed my process. OS, I have resource R4, R6 and R7. I need resource R5.
Here is your resource R5.
Yes, I have all resources. I have completed my process.
So here we saw that making resource R7 shareable prevented the deadlock. So making certain resources shareable can prevent the deadlock. But this may not work every time, as not all resources are shareable and this may lead to race conditions. So we can violate any other condition to prevent the deadlock. Now next method will be explained by Arthur.
Let's go to the next method of deadlock handling, which is banker's algorithm. Bank every time check its balance before giving loans. Similarly, OS check its state before resource allocation. Process P1 has been allocated with resource R1 and R5. Process P2 has been allocated with resource R3 and R2. And process P3 has been allocated with resource R6. Now let's start.
OS, I have resource R1 and R5 and I need resource R3 and R7 for execution. Giving resource R3 can lead to deadlock now, so it can't be given.
Resource R7 is available, but resource R3 is not available. So come back after some time.
OS I have resource R2 and R4. I need resource R3.
Here is your resource R4.
Okay.
I have all the resources, so I will complete my execution. Take your resources.
OS I have resource R6. I need resource R7 and after for execution. Please give me.
Here are your resources R4 and R7.
Now I have all resources and I will complete my execution. Now I have completed my execution.
OS I need resource R3 and R7.
Here are your resources R3 and R7. Take it.
I have all required resources. Now my execution is complete. These are all resources.
Here we can observe that one happens on the number. OS every time check its state before resource allocation to prevent the deadlock.
Now let's see the last and the most important deadlock handling method, that is deadlock detection and recovery. In this method, deadlock recovers the system when deadlock is detected. So consider process P1 has been allocated resources R1, R3 and R5. And process P2 has been allocated resources R2 and R4, and process P3 has been allocated resources R6 and R7. Now process P1 requires resource R7, process P2 requires resource R3, and process P3 requires resource R4. So now let's see what does OS do in this situation.
How much amount of work has been done by process P1? I have completed 1 unit of work. How much amount of work has been done by process P2?
I have done 1 unit.
And what about process P3?
I have done 3 units.
So process P2, you have done least amount of work, so you have been post-built terminated.
So now we can see that the resources allocated to process P2 have been freed up, and these resources can be utilized by process P1 and P3 to complete their work, so the deadlock is resolved. And now the system can function properly. In this method, OS recovers the deadlock and kills the processes that have done least work to prevent the deadlock.